My name is Ross Lauber. This is my week 4 presentation 3 on DOS and DDoS attacks. What are DOS and DDoS attacks? DOS attacks stand for denial of service attacks, and DDoS stands for distributed denial of service attacks. In DOS attacks, typically one machine is used, and then in DDoS attacks is multiple machines are used because it's distributed throughout the whole system that they have, which I'll tell you more about later. But the whole goal of both of them is to shut down websites or servers to make them inaccessible for users to access to. This is an example of a DDoS attack where the attacker has pre-compromised computers, and then with those pre-compromised computers, they will attack a target. Now, usually they're forgetting a step here, where the attacker needs to be connected to the internet, obviously, to send out these attacks. They can't just send out these attacks without having connection to the other computers. This is an example of now a service attack where one attacker will attack the victim, and this is an example where the attacker is working as a team with other attackers to attack a certain victim. The purpose of DOS and DDoS attacks is to extort money from websites or businesses, mainly banking companies. If you hit a website offline, people can't access it, people can't deposit money, people can't pay their bills. A lot of other negative things can happen through that. Or they get paid off through businesses. Say big business wants to get rid of their competitors for a little bit, bring in some more income, they could hire somebody to do that for them. Or protesting / cyber terrorism. Examples of this is, say, Anonymous is a pretty common hacker group that hits off government websites or something. Say, for example, government websites just to show that they had power. Or protesting, say, I know Donald Trump's campaign was at times at risk through attacks like these. So I'll dive into more what DOS attacks are. Like I said earlier, there's single machines that are used usually by the attacker's own, or say, for example, if somebody got a hold of your machine physically, and then they used your machine because they wanted to still remain hidden from whatever. Or they could have a team or organizations, as previously stated. I think these are a little bit more uncommon because you are using your own machine for this, and then also, in comparison to DDoS attacks, you're not sending out as much packets of like TCP, UDP, or ICMP packets that you could be sending out with, because botnets are comprised of multiple computers. And DDoS machines are comprised of multiple machines called the botnets. Botnets are infected machines that have been comprised by malware, which is the botnet itself. Once the hacker has access to your machine, they're allowed to send packets through your machine along with the other machines within this botnet to whatever web service they would like to. Anything could be compromised. Say, for example, smart TVs, refrigerators, microwaves, or cameras. A security company named Security found a botnet of strictly 25,000 CCTV cameras, which I found was pretty funny. Those are like security cameras that just have access to internet, and apparently it wasn't hard to get into them at all. But like DOS attacks, they work the same. They send packets to the servers that they're trying to. That I thought were pretty interesting. Where one, for example, was on a company called OVH, which is a cloud computing company. They were reported being hit by a terabyte of data per second, which I think is humongous. This is I think the largest reported DDoS attack to date, actually. Another example of notable attacks is the Trump campaign was something called, there's a time where it was called Op Trump. I think it happened on April 1st of 2016, where they targeted his hotels and other businesses strictly to um, cut down his funds for his campaign and stuff like that. This is an example of DOS attacks for protesting. And then some big name companies have experienced being hit offline for quite a bit of time, like Twitter, AWS, which is Amazon Web Services, which is their cloud computing company. Seems like cloud computing is a common recurring company that gets hit. Verizon, banks throughout the world, like Russia, for example, I know has been experiencing some of it. PlayStation Network, not and other video games network in general. I know that when I was a kid, being threatened to get booted offline, whether it was Xbox or other online video games, was pretty common. Building a botnet actually is seems pretty easy. A lot of the pre-coded botnets are available online, so all you need to do is just spread your malware, and once you do that, you can start building your botnet. Whether you can build or spread malware through a lot of different ways. I'm not going to dive into that because that's not what this presentation is about. But you could access a lot of devices because companies reuse their SSH keys to hijack them, like say for like old refrigerators, or not old refrigerators, but refrigerators that have access to internet, or other devices like cameras, as previously stated, or TVs, for example. Um, once you start, once you could do that and hijack into them, and then build your botnet like that. So this was a survey that I found called by a company called Encapsula. They surveyed 270 businesses, which were largely companies of the people that were surveyed were IT guys mainly, or security guys mainly, um, ranging from employees of 250 to over 10,000 employees. 45% of them reported they've been hit before, and of that, of the 45%, 91% said they've been hit within the last 12 months. Two-thirds of the attacks on those companies reported lasting for around 6 hours, from anywhere from 30 seconds to 6 hours. 4% actually reported that they've been hit off for more than a week before, which I thought was pretty large number. Their servers must have been not that strong. But most attacks were reported that they targeted either a specific application to block use from, or the network infrastructure itself to block all connections to the domain. And then the cost of being offline per hour is shown here. 15% say it's over $100,000 per hour. And imagine saying being off for about 6 hours. I'm sure that big companies like that wouldn't be off for more than a week, because I'm sure their servers, they probably handle a lot of traffic, but that is a lot of money that they're losing out on. Um, then another example of DOS attacks combined with something else is phishing emails that were sent out. Some banks reported actually that when their banks got hit offline, that their customers were receiving phishing emails saying that, hey, our website's down. You can access this other website which has all your banking information and pay your bills through that, which scams a lot of people, and that's how some people can get into their banking information. This concludes my presentation for week 4. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. Have a good one.